Welcome back to the second ever episode of the ESR Racers Corner. Well, it's not quite the second ever. We did about a half dozen with me and Mr. C, and then unfortunately availability took us away from that, and it didn't have the same name. So this is the second of the revived Racers Corner with ESR podcast and or interview segment. I don't know what the official definition of a podcast is. Ironically, with me is the man who last night became a two-time 3D Speed champion and the leader of the Vortex GT Racing crew, which was the dominant team this season, taking home almost all the hardware, at least all the hardware we were eligible for. Paul Riccobene.
Heyo.
All right.
What's going on, Mike?
Not too much. I was working on some admin work for ESR, looking to punch that out and get some information out to everybody and gather some information, including on the 3D Speed series for 2021.
Yep, I like to say that I already filled out the feedback form.
Indeed, we've gotten quite a bit of feedback so far. I have 11 responses.
Well, that's good. It's only been up for like 2 or 3 hours.
Indeed, quite pleased. Although one of the tracks that I really want to include is getting a lot of vetoes. So you guys are
tell
rude.
Me which one it is.
You guys are rude. No,
I only vetoed two, so
it would poison the results.
I know it's one of two.
I mean, there were 3 tracks this season I got really good results at. So I mean, those would be the 3 that I want to include.
I have an idea.
All right, so let's talk about the season that just was. We wrapped it up last night at the Hungaroring, and you did not take victory in the race, but you did get enough to win the championship while giving the race win over to Chris Johnston. You had 5 podiums over the course of the season, and your only non-podium was a 4th place at Barcelona. So there was a remarkable consistency to your abilities. What do you attribute that to?
I guess now that it's been a couple of years of this, it's just maturing as a driver. Honestly, you've seen it quite a few seasons, having fast laps and also many walls and sand traps. So I guess just getting more comfortable out there and settling down and finding your pace. I also think that the 40-minute races that we had this season, instead of like the double sprints we were doing, it gives you time to sort of breathe a little bit. And you know that if you lose a second, it's not the end of the race. You have plenty of time to come back. So I just took a slightly more calm approach this season, and it seemed like it paid off.
Oh, it definitely did. I mean, this is your 2nd title, and a hard-fought one. You beat Chris Johnston. Dominic Turcotte was in the mix. William Murrah, who unfortunately was absent last night, and I mean, not to downplay your abilities or anything, but I do feel like if Murray Iwanchuk had made more races, he definitely could have been a threat. He had that 1st place to open up the season and a 3rd place at Brands Hatch, and then missed 3 out of the remaining 4 races. So that helped you out a fair bit.
Oh, there's no doubt. It's a shame that Iwanchuk wasn't there because dude's fast, and obviously we're all out here to race and have fun doing it. So for sure, he would have been a major factor in changing how this championship would have gone. Same with Chris Johnson, actually. If you look at his stats, I mean, he actually had one win more than I did. And I think he had an incident in race 1, which is the only reason I think I was able to get a little bit of a lead on him for this title here. But between, those guys, Murrah was very fast. And it looked like as the last 2 races, he also seemed a lot calmer out there as well. So it was a lot of competition up front, and it is a shame that they weren't all there for all 6 races.
I mean, it is the case though. Attendance will often buy you something that even raw pace on its own cannot bring to the table, and that is you got to be there to score points.
Yeah, for sure.
That can definitely be a huge impact on the overall championship. What were some highlights of the season for you? What were some lowlights? I don't think there were much in the way of lowlights. Like I said, lowest finish of the season was 4th place for you. But let us know. What did you enjoy? What was your crowning achievements? and anything you want to do over on, basically.
I would say the low light for me was I don't want to say it's a low light, but Hungaroring. I don't know what the deal was with that. The track just it was slippery all the time, and I had spent hours trying to get the Lexus hooked
I
up on that
can
setup.
confirm you did reject my setup on the basis of it was too slippery.
Oh my god, I tried. I never spent more time trying to tune a car, and no matter what I did, I just couldn't get that car to hook up. The rear of the Lexus just kept spinning on me, so that was very frustrating, and I'm, thrilled to get the, finish I did last night. And also, even in that race, Dumas, who was a new driver with us, he was
Hmm.
killing it last night, but he unfortunately disqualified, so it probably would've been a 3rd, but still, that was probably, the hardest race of the season for me just because God, I was scared to death. I thought for sure I was gonna, throw it away.
I think everyone had that feeling though, so I don't know. I don't know about low light on that. If everybody's having the same experience, is it really a low light? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was easily the most tense I was during any of these races. I was literally scared for 40 minutes. It was tough. Other than that, the rest of the races were great. I think the win at Misano was probably my best race. Um, because again, the win at Zolder, Johnson had a little bit of a gap on me, but he got a drive through for a track cut, I believe, like that. So that was sort of gifted. So Misano was a track that I never raced before and turned out to be a lot of fun and a good hard fought battle up there.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. Misano was an interesting track because a lot of people seem to have minimal experience with it, which was very intriguing.
Yeah, my first, I'm going to say 25 minutes, I had one valid lap. I was really struggling to figure that place out.
I mean, that might explain why I managed to get sixth place there.
Hey,
knowing
whatever the reason is, you'll take it, right?
knowing tracks that I had a ninth place there. Pardon me. Although considering I had a lap one incident, not too bad, not too bad. Um, all right, obviously our team was the big haul of points. We won the Silver Cup with myself in a battle with our third man Javier Perez Torres.
Yeah,
Although Wayne
congratulations.
Hutchison wound up getting in between us at the end because Javi had unfortunately a poor final result, but still. We dominated the team's championship, scoring 486 points to Bentley M Sports 327. And I had a conversation with the steward, and Bentley will probably be losing some of their points because they were naughty boys at the Hungaroring, and they might be in
So
for some
little that.
penalties. Might
I
be
know
in for
there's
some
definitely
penalties.
one coming.
Although I do have to give a shout out of a negative nature to Josh McLaughlin, who, when I asked who took out Javier, his response was, "It was a Ferrari, sir. It was a Bentley." I I don't know. I don't know what to say on the matter.
In
I don't know if you could get physically more different
in
cars in the crew.
fairness to Josh, I constantly confuse Bentleys and Ferraris on the road.
I don't, because he was like, "It's a Ferrari." I'm like, "Oh no, Rick Martel would never do such a thing," and I was right. It was not Rick Martel. So there you go. Um, so yeah, I do know that the M Sport team is facing 4 separate reports. So chances are our gap of victory will grow.
Yeah. We had a good season overall, for sure. Congratulations on your silver title.
Thank you, thank you. It is my first ESR hardware, so that'll go up on the trophy case.
Ah, it's about time.
Mm.
It must be those new pedals.
I mean, the new pedals have definitely helped out. Of course, I have given mixed reviews on the pedals, of course, because um, I'm still getting a little bit of the hang of them, obviously. And I do have Fanatec. Come talk to me. We got to talk about the coating on the pedals. We got to talk about this because it is slippery as a mofo, and we need to fix that.
Can you just add a little grip tape?
I probably will end up doing that, but yeah, I don't know. Anytime I find a product, like there's never been a racing product that I don't identify as like there's a problem with it. Um, which I mean makes sense because I mean if you came up with the perfect product, would you not dominate the landscape and just absolutely put everyone out of business?
seems like that would be logical, but you know,
But I am very much enjoying them. The results since getting the pedals have been excellent. I think we actually have a fair results pool to pull from here. So let me just give the rundown here. So I had, towards the end of the 3D Speed series, I picked up a pair of 6th places and a 9th in 3 races. That's pretty damn solid. I had a really solid run at Suzuka West in the GT2 series, where I picked up an 11th in race 1 and then a 6th in race 2 and led for a good chunk of that race. It was a reverse grid thing, so don't read too much into it. But I was holding off the likes of Richard Durocher for quite a time, and he's a top-notch driver.
that's impressive.
And then Bathurst was not so good. So aside from Bathurst, the new pedals have definitely have livened some things up.
Well, you
So
could throw Bathurst out of any equation. That's just that track.
Yeah, I got put into the wall by somebody in race 1, and then in race 2, I put myself in the wall. So
Consistent.
It was the same wall too.
Oh, that sucks. So with you winning the silver cup, does that move you up to gold?
No, I am still maintaining my silver status because the silver cup win does not instantly promote you to gold. Because I mean, the idea behind the ratings is not necessarily to promote people over time. It's the idea is to keep people who are close together. Certainly I'm towards the sharp end of the silver category, but I look at the gold drivers and there are not many I would venture a guess to say I could compete with on a consistent basis. I did manage to beat 2 gold drivers last night in the forms of Antonio Garda and Guillermo Martinez. That being said, Martinez had a very large spin, and that's how he ended up behind me. And Garda, I think, actually had damage to his car because I was, always doing the after action report, breaking down the stats and the metrics and so on. His second half of the race, in terms of lap times, were all notably worse than what he'd been doing up until that point. So I suspect, even if it was something as simple as maybe some tire graining, that there was something wrong with his car.
Yeah, I was going to say possible tires might have gone on him.
Because his fastest lap was 0.7 faster than mine. So not really the same ballpark of pace, but I hunted him down and overtook him. So that definitely suggests something wasn't going right, whether it was just a simple endurance problem with him, maybe getting tired or losing focus, or over driving the tires, or something more substantially wrong with the car. I don't know. He can post below and give us an answer if he wishes.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear, because that's exactly what I found to be the struggle with at Hungaroring was, you could run 2 or 3 or even 4 good fast laps, but once the tires started spinning up on you, it was just
the weird
out of
thing
control.
is, to be honest, I did not have that problem, and that could be a good thing of excellent driving. That could also be a case of you pushing to a much higher degree than me, and me just not pushing to the edge, not finding that ultimate pace.
It could be anything, right? I mean, maybe you weren't.
Could be a
if you were
combination.
braking correctly, then maybe you weren't spinning out. I was trying to keep up with Dumas and Johnston, so I was definitely pushing.
Even towards the end of my race, and I was pushing pretty much the whole time, because actually, for those who have not reviewed it, please check out my my YouTube channel, Mio Dread Gaming, for the on board of that race. I was definitely in a fight the whole time. There was never a time where I'm like, so this is where I'm going to be finishing. No. It was, that guy's 3 seconds ahead of me. We could still get this.
That's what makes it fun, though.
Oh, for sure. That's what I said. It was one of the most fun races of the season. The only downside, of course, was watching Javier in my mirror get destroyed by that Bentley, and just going, it's not really how I want to win the championship.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Really. It kind of did it at that point. Although I did spend the race wondering if I was going to get a penalty, although the driver in question has informed me he's not reporting it, because he more or less has the same view that I did. It was a case of Andreas Lasudis messing up a little bit in the first sweeper after the chicane. And I touched his rear end, and of course, being that he drives a Porsche, any contact to that rear end sends you spinning.
Yeah, do not upset that rear.
Yeah, he had the same thought I did, that there wasn't anything I could do. For the record, I do encourage anyone to report admins. We do get penalties like the rest of you. And in fact, I do believe I still have the dubious record of most penalties in ESR history.
Oh, congratulations. That's a hell. See, you had hardware before.
It's not good hardware, though. It's not good.
Get like a plaque or something for that. I think Javi might have challenged you this season, though. He was racking them up pretty good.
Yeah, but Javier has historically been very, very clean. I think
this
is the first. I think this is the first series where he's really had any significant penalty loss. To be honest, I haven't had many penalties lately. I've cleaned up a lot, but I used to be a big self-reporting person, and I still will. If I do something spectacularly stupid, I will report it. But like I said, I had two moments in that race, one of which just didn't have a result. The car I hit was fine. And I hate to say the car I hit was fine, therefore there's no penalty, but that does tend to be how it works.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess like you said, the penalty, and that's a whole discussion we could get into.
Oh, it's been a discussion that's happened many times behind closed doors with the stewarding group. So it's been talked to death, but we got it. Let's move on to we had a lot of new drivers in the field this season. I think this was one of our highest debutante counts of all time. We had, of course, Dominic Turcotte, newcomer, William Murrah, Antonio Garda, all three of which finished in the top 5. We also had Andrew Burke as a newcomer, Tony Yimbo, Zach Martin. I can continue to go on if you need, but basically what I'm getting around to is, were there any standouts? People who surprised you this season? People who brought the fight to you, or just did better than you expected them to do, or maybe had one specific race where things really just seemed to click for them?
I'll be honest with you. So for me, everybody that I raced with, which was Johnson, Turcotte, Mura, and Ewanchuk, they were all new to me. And they were all great. I mean, Chris Johnson and I had probably the tightest battle and the most time spent together out there. So he was probably, in my eyes, the most impressive driver, because we spent, oh God, it seems like hours together within 0.3 of a second and never once made contact. So just super driving from Chris. Murrah is wild out there, but the guy is fast. It's very fun trying to race around him, because he had that Ferrari just totally out of control, but within control at the same time. So I mean, those two were the most that I spent the time with, and it was just, I had a blast this season. It was really good, hard, clean racing. It made it a lot of fun for me.
Excellent. And you'll be back next season, I'm assuming.
I will, of course. I'm hoping they're back as well.
I'm hoping everybody is back. I think everyone will be back. I haven't heard any. There's the custom skin issue that might cost us some people one way or the other, because there are some people talking about how they will not be back if we allow custom skins, and the opposite is true, where there are some people that are saying they won't be back if we disallow custom skins. So,
let's be honest. The skins are cool, but is that really going to affect your racing? I don't know.
Not really, I don't think. But I mean, it's one of those things where I wish they were implemented better. I guess we should go into this. I guess this is as good a time as any to fully bring out the custom livery issue, because I'm not sure everyone is 100% aware of everything. So when a custom livery, and this stunningly includes in-game customs, like when you just create the naked car thing that they give you in-game, when they join a multiplayer server, and you have the custom livery. I guess to be clear, you can get rid of this somewhat by just not installing anyone's custom livery. There is a processing spike of your game rendering the car into existence. Now, needless to say, every sim racing game has been battling with this idea, with this issue since the beginning of time. How do you handle cars coming into a server? And various ideas have been tried in the past. The one that I personally like is the rFactor and rFactor 2 method of when you go to the pits is when it will render everything, which is nice because you're not driving as it's doing that, which cuts down on the rendering time because it has full processing availability, and also it doesn't screw you up. Unfortunately, the way Assetto Corsa Competizione does it is that when someone joins, it tries to instantly render the car. So let's say, well, I'll use the personal experience of last night. Last night during practice for the Hungaroring race, I wound up with like 7 illegal laps to open up with because I would get to a challenging turn because Hungaroring is quite loaded with them, and someone would load in, and then I'd be off the track.
I know the frustration.
And it was worse when we had unlimited size, and we've resized them. Big thanks to, of course, Paul here for shrinking a lot of the liveries down to a more manageable amount. But even at that point, they still cause that processing spike.
Yeah, they're just blips now, but it's still a blip usually at the exact worst time.
Yeah, it's not the we had a problem at Zandvoort where Richard Higgs left and rejoined, and when he did, because his livery, the Aston Martin Cyberline liveries, are so large, everyone got hit with a massive spike. Like you could even see it on the recording when we did the commentary. Almost everyone invalidated their lap coming into the Audi S because everyone had no control. And of course, Rick Martel was hit at the exact wrong time because it hit him right at the beginning of the braking zone. So instead of braking, he spent the entire braking zone on the throttle because the game had not registered that he was trying to brake, and he went right into Wayne Hutchison. And I mean,
yeah, what can you do about that?
Yeah. And that has sparked a debate as to whether we're going to allow them next season or not. And again, that's on the ESR response form. If you have a thought on the matter, please vote on that. I have 4 different ideas, basically how to handle it, and we'll go with the most popular, frankly.
I mean, I like the customs. I think it's cool. I enjoy it.
Well, we ran custom liveries. So.
Yeah, but I'm saying if there's no customs, it's not going to change my opinion if I'm going to race or not. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I haven't heard like a tremendous number of people have a strong stance, but I know that there are 2 or 3 people either way that have made it very clear that the custom livery debate is going to impact if they race or not, and that's unfortunate. But we will go majority rules on the matter. Anyways, let's get out of the administrative weeds and back into things. So, I mean, we can talk about anything you want to talk about really here with it pertains to the 3D Speed series or ESR or
so,
honestly, take a swing.
Come on, ESR is the best. What's there to talk about, right? I mean, it's an awesome place. Been there for a year and a half now, almost 2 years. Love it. Big thanks to you and Martin for keeping this place running. But my question for 3D would be, first off, switching to ACC was a great move. Huge improvement over Racer, in my opinion. I know not everybody agrees with that, but I love it.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that. I just know that, unfortunately, the ACC does scare some people off just on system requirements and having a rig that's up to the challenge.
I have some pretty good hardware. And if you saw what I see when I'm racing, you would laugh. Like, that's why I don't care about deliveries, because I barely can tell what car is in front of me. Like, my visuals are so low. And I'm still running at like 55 frames per second.
I run at about 120, so
VR is brutal.
Yeah, I know. The VR optimization is quite bad.
Yeah. But has there been any discussion of a GT4 championship for 3D Speed?
So the problem with the GT4 Championship is, and this is uh, um, some fact and some opinion. Um, so number one, if you do a GT4 Championship, everyone has to buy the GT4 DLC. Not everybody's done that. Not everybody wants to do that because not everyone loves GT4s, and it doesn't come with any tracks. So it's very much a car pack. Um, so there's problems with that. Number two is there are certain tracks that really do not suit GT4 racing, just because of
Yeah, they're not fast enough.
exactly, like you wouldn't really want to do a GT4 race at Monza, for example. You would be redlined on some of the straightaways, and that's not fun. It's not what we're here to do. Um, there's also honestly a bit of a BOP issue with the GT4s as they are. There are certain ones that are just not terribly useful. And to go back to the custom liveries for like just a half a second, most of the GT4s are pretty livery deficient. So you would end up with a considerable
Duplicate situation, because it sounds like you're talking a 2 or 3 car field at this point.
Exactly, a duplicate field and a problems with that. So my thought is that I would love to do GT4s in a multi-class scenario, but until we get a grid of, let's say, 35 drivers on a consistent basis. Obviously, we had 48 signups, but I have the numbers right here, so might as well do it here. Our largest field on the season was 33. So we topped 30 once. That was the Barcelona race. And after that, we had no more than 25. It's not really a grid that I see supporting a multi-class option, realistically, or even needing it.
So I agree, it's not big enough for multi.
Yeah. And the GT4 is... I've been unimpressed with GT4 as a class. There are some GT4s I very, very much like. I ironically enjoy the Porsche. Stunning. I really like the Camaro, of course, although its competitive level is a little bit questionable. I enjoy the Mercedes. I enjoy the Aston Martin. I really enjoy the Ginetta, although it is incredibly track dependent. It's just that there is not a tremendous there's not the versatility that GT3 presents you with. There's not as many viable cars. There's not as many liveries. And well, we spent a couple of minutes talking about the issues of custom liveries. That becomes even more prominent with GT4s because, well, you have more reason to do custom liveries. It's like every car becomes the Lexus. For those of you who are unaware, the Lexus has only 2 teams that run it, Tech One Racing and Emile Frey Racing. So the number of Lexus liveries is very limited. GT4 is like that with almost every car.
Well, hopefully they, work on the GT4s maybe at the same time as the British DLC track pack, because that would be obviously the place to run them. Those tracks.
That would be nice. Yeah, if we can get that in, then there's a lot more tracks that you can run it for sure. It's just that right now, the only tracks I'd say that are like super GT4 suitable would be Misano.
Laguna
Seca is a good one. You could definitely do it at Brands Hatch. Zolder and Zandvoort wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, it will work there.
But that's a pretty limited subset of tracks that they
that's
really
5 out of 6 weeks. Oh,
it also ends up going to some tracks that people don't really like, though.
Forget people. We'll race what we give them.
Now, if you are looking to do GT4s, it should be mentioned that a multi-class Sunday series is definitely something we could look at in the future, because then you have a lot more European friendly time zones. So you instantly, bloom the grid up by 25 to 33%.
Yeah, that'd be ideal.
Yeah, so that could definitely push it in that direction, because the Sunday series we were running routinely at 35 to 40 cars on it, and that would be pretty much enough to do multi-class.
Well,
So
maybe one
that
of
would
these
definitely be
days
good.
I'll get lucky and there'll be something GT4 I can jump in. You know me, I love the slower cars. I think it leads for better racing. So I'm a big fan of that
No,
kind of stuff.
I definitely think that, like, the GT4 class has a tremendous amount of potential. It just needs a little bit of BOP adjustment would be nice, and also when we get a little bit more comfortable with the idea that everybody has the DLC,
Right.
would definitely help. Um,
You get a
and
lot for the money in that DLC, though. What was it, like 10 cars or something, or 12
Oh yeah, to
cars?
be honest, the ACC DLCs have been quite affordable. The only one that I did not like was the most recent one they came out with, the 2020
Yeah.
pack, which was basically 2 cars and a track. I am still crossing my fingers, crossing my toes that Magny Core will retroactively become a part of that track or that pack. And in which case, I think it'd be worth it, because I really do like Magny Core. It's a fantastic track, and one that I've historically had a fair amount of success at. So come on, kudos.
For selfish reasons, he wants it.
I mean, I always want it for selfish reasons.
We all do, right? We certainly aren't
um,
begging for tracks we suck at.
you're not active in any of the other ESR series, correct?
I
You're
am
maybe a
not.
guest appearance or here or
Yeah,
there.
unfortunately, the weekend racing I keep to a minimum. So the only other series I do is the one I'm running on Friday, Saturday. When is it? Saturday evenings? I can't remember now. Is it Saturday nights? Every other Saturday night, I think maybe.
I don't race in it.
It's the RF2 GT3 League,
it
which
is it is
is
on Saturday evenings
yeah.
at
There you go.
10 p.m. Eastern. You're coming up December 5th at the Korean International Circuit.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And that's a 30-minute race. Talk to us about that, because that's obviously a series that you run, and I would assume you want to get a little bit more interest in it.
Yeah, I would love to. We have I don't know, about 15 guys, it seems, each week. If you've never tested rFactor 2 or driven the official GT3 content in rFactor 2, it's amazing. It's honestly the best group of cars in any sim, in my opinion. It's just so good. rFactor 2 is the best, and their GT3 pack is just amazing. Um, I love it. The racing has been fantastic for the first 2 weeks. We did a whole bunch of test weeks, and we tried a bunch of cars, and everybody just loves the GT3 cars. I think there's like 9 of them to choose from. And outside of the Callaway, which
I see the
is
Callaway C7, I see the Audi, I see the Aston Martin, the Bentley, the Radical RXC
yeah, I just raced that
Turbo.
one last week. It is
Uh,
wild.
the 720's there, the M6 is there, the Porsche, of course.
Yeah,
I
so
note
unfortunately, the
I note that
Callaway
there's two versions of the
is
720s, which is interesting.
I think there's a 720 and a 650. There's 2 McLarens. There's 2
Well, no,
years of the Audi, I
there
think.
are three McLarens here. I see the
Yeah, there's like
650, the 720, and the 720 Shadow.
yeah, it's like they put a livery on it or something. I don't think
Okay,
there's any
okay,
difference.
okay, okay.
But outside of the Callaway, which is unfortunately the strongest car, I think we think it's due to tire wear. But outside of that, everything else is pretty balanced and they're really fun. And RF2 is extremely punishing to abusing your tires. So it's really an interesting 30 minutes of racing because you just cannot hot lap in rFactor 2. You have to be super conservative while driving smoothly, and it's just I love it, and everybody should check it out. It's just so good, so good.
Indeed, it is the king of customizability to rFactor 2, because there's so much relatively quality mod content for it. And
Tons of stuff out there. Some of it's okay, and some of it is just as good as the official. We've raced a bunch of stuff, and
well, it's like anything. Like I've recently taken to doing Tabletop Simulator, which is a game that allows you to simulate any board game or mini game that you can think of, basically. And obviously, there is, there's really really good workshop stuff, and then there's really shitty workshop stuff
yeah, it's
that
the
doesn't
same
even
then.
work.
The good stuff though is just it's so good,
Have
and
you,
it's a small community, so the people who do the modding and kind of stick with the rFactor 2 game, they're really, really serious about it. So it's a lot of fun, in my opinion.
as long as you don't run into the famous Race '07 Miller Motorsport Park mod, you're fine.
I don't know what that is.
That was a track that somebody made, and I have never seen a mod so screwed up because it spawned you in the parking lot for the track. And you absolutely could race it, but you had to find your way into the facility.
That sounds kind of fun. It's like a real track day, right?
um, yes, but that's not really what the goal was, to be honest.
That's hilarious.
It was interesting, for sure. Um, that is, of course, the problem you run into with any kind of mod stuff every so often.
Yeah, it could be really bad.
Just-
We have a few
That's
guys
where we
who
go.
are yeah, there's a few guys in the rFactor 2 Discord group who've been playing it for a long time, and they have all the ins and outs of which mods are safe to run and which not. And some of the tracks are just phenomenal. Where did we just? Man, I have such a terrible memory.
Istanbul
Istanbul
Park
Park.
Circuit. I actually really wish I had joined you guys for that, but Saturday nights are just
Oh, you
Byron
really should.
Byron would not forgive me.
No, you don't want Byron upset with you.
Also, unfortunately, right now I'm very limited in terms of like how much sim work I can do, just because um, I've said this before, so this should be like no amazing reveal. I am anal about detail.
We had
I
no
don't
idea.
I don't do like a random join series. Like if I'm doing a series, I'm practicing, I'm working out a setup, I'm figuring out the track. Um, Anything less than that is unfulfilling. So that in itself is a little bit time limiting. But number two, right now, of course, and this is going to sound like a complaint about the pedals, and I swear it's not a complaint about the pedals, but the way that the pedals force me to modify the rig has left the rig very uncomfortable to use
Oh,
for a
that
long
can get
period of
exhausting.
time.
Yeah.
For example, if you watch my on board from Hungaroring from last night, I'm really pimping that video hard because I thought it was a really good race. So go watch it. But you could audibly hear my left knee clicking.
Oh, that's not good.
So unfortunately, until me and my cousin get around to Rig 2.0, which we will take the lessons that we learned from the first one and apply them to the second one, my literal hour count is going to be a little bit limited.
Well, that's fair enough. Let me make two quick points on the rFactor 2 series, though, before we move on to anything else. One, if anybody does want to drop in, these cars are great with default setup. I don't change anything except maybe sometimes I had to click a wing, and you might go from softs to mediums or hard tires. That's as far as I go with my setup work. It's just really, really good out of the box. And two, if you're new to rFactor 2, do not show up Saturday night, 40 minutes before the race asking questions. You need a good 48 hours to get rFactor 2 installed and configured and tested. It's super confusing to new users. So
It is the downside of any kind of software
yeah,
platform that's highly moddable.
yeah, and they got a whole new UI and everything. I mean, we welcome anybody that wants to come in and race with us. I really do think it's probably the best sim out there, but you need to make sure that you're sorted before Saturday shows up because we'll help you out, but don't leave it till race time.
I mean, I feel like that goes for like sim racing altogether. Is you need to be kind of like prepped for it. I know that like as an admin, I will have various displeased remarks if you show up and ask a question that is answered in one of the guides I've kindly pulled together.
Jeez, do you make guides? I didn't know that.
And let's not forget, as Justin Swan has been putting on every livery he does for me, What is the password?
That's awesome.
So yeah, there's a certain level of prepped that just goes with sim racing in general that should be handled.
Yeah, unfortunately,
The
I'm
other
both
the other I guess
guilty of being that guy and getting upset about that guy. So, you know,
or my personal favorite still remains the how much fuel are we using? It's like I don't know what car you're in. You're not my teammate.
if you're asking
I
that
could
question, the
totally
answer is all of
I
it.
could totally give you a completely wrong answer without meaning to or meaning to. And that's how that works.
Yeah, always overfill. We've learned that lesson.
But yeah. If you run out of gas, you're never gonna forget it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
someone, yes. Sanford.
And Red Bull is the worst feeling.
It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. And there's nothing better than actually getting the calculation right. I do a very impressive victory dance when I have one lap of fuel left at the end.
Oh, I finished almost all my races with like 10 minutes of fuel left.
That's probably a little too cautious.
You know what? If 3 or 4 pounds of fuel is what cost me the race, then I'll worry about that later.
All right, so that's the rFactor race. You guys should check it out.
Yeah, get out there, guys. It's awesome.
Paul's adminning it. He's a super low key admin. He's not not like me, who's a psycho with a hatchet.
Yeah, admitting is like just show up, have fun, don't take anybody out.
Yeah, it's a nice chill environment compared to my anal retentiveness.
But it's needed here.
I don't really have anything else to talk about with ESR stuff. I will say keep an eye on the Discord. There will be an announcement in regards to the 2021 Enduro series soon, as well as a feedback form for the upcoming Race Room series once we finish off the GT2 Redux series, which I've been enjoying a lot. If you want to join us on that, feel free. Race Room is counter to RF2, probably the easiest sim to get working and handling, although periodically they will drop updates that completely break your force feedback. But
On Wednesday nights, an hour before the race.
You go well about that. You know what? That I actually don't mind that because, I mean, realistically speaking, there is no good time for a sim to drop.
No, but it was just ironic. It was every Wednesday.
Well, no, but the thing is that they seem to schedule it for them. So that's just the thing. Wednesday's not race room night. There you go. That handles it nicely. Like having a consistent day is really good.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. You know it's coming.
Yeah. It just so happened that they picked a day that we ran a series on, which is fine because we were moving away from it anyways because we like GT3 racing, and of course, if you're going to do GT3 racing, race room's not an option. I guess is what it comes down to. It's just really not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bust on Race Room. I know a lot of people still like it, but it's just not even in the same league as ACC or RF2.
Yeah, you're going to go ACC or RF2 or iRacing if you want to go that route.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the future real quick here. We got the winter 2021 series coming up here for the 3D Speed series. Going to be GT3s again. We don't have the official track list, but I can say that there probably will be a fair amount of return from this season, just because there's not that many new options. Because we don't want to go into like the proper endurance tracks like a Spa-Francorchamps or a Silverstone. We just don't have the time on a Wednesday night to do those tracks justice. They will be on the Enduro calendar, so there's that. What are your plans for the winter 2021 season?
I have zero plans at this point. I would definitely switch cars. And I don't know. I would love to race a Ferrari just because I want to race a Ferrari. So I might try out that new, was it the 2020 version? I hear it's much better.
It's different. I don't know about better, to be honest. I think that's actually the nice thing, is that the two new cars did not completely invalidate their former versions. I think there are tracks where you could find the older one being better,
Hmm.
which is nice.
Well, as long as it's, I have a tendency on the rear or mid-engine cars to end up backwards in them. So maybe it's a little more stable, which is really all I'm concerned with.
Hmm.
So I might check
I
out the
think I
Ferrari.
think it might actually be the less stable of the two,
Oh,
to be
that's not good.
honest.
Like I said, I haven't really tested anything yet, but I definitely would like to move away from the Lexus, which was a great car for us. But no need to drive the same car. So I'm gonna check out a few options.
I will be also moving away from the Lexus. I know where I'm going. Audi Revolution, baby.
Yeah, we will not be teammates for 2021. I
That's
doubt I'll be doing
disappointing.
that.
That's
I'll
this.
check it out
We
though.
teamed in the Audi before, and it went fine, aside from your fuel calculations.
Oh, that was that season, right?
It was that season. I remember driving past you on the straight at Red Bull, going, "God damn it!
Idiot.
I told you the amount of fuel to put in."
Yeah, that was the worst. You actually did give me the exact number. I don't know why I wasn't listening to you back then.
I don't know why. I mean, I will fully, I fully admit I don't know how to drive a race car. Um, but give me a math question, and you gonna get the right answer.
Yeah, I wonder if sometimes the messages. I'm a very forgetful person, so I could see something and then just by the time I get back into the rig, it's long gone from the memory. I'm gonna use that as my excuse.
So that's my plan. Anyone who wants to join the Audi Revolution is totally welcome to, because ESR has this like anti-Audi stance, and like it goes across sim platforms. It is weird.
Well,
I've
Josiah
honestly
is Mr. Audi.
never really been able to figure out what the deal is, to be honest.
I don't know. I'll give it a shot. If it's good, I'll join up with you. But
I think it's a really solid one. Like, don't get me wrong, if you've got problems with like mid-engine like stability and so on, it may not be the car. I totally understand that. It's just it's just weird that we have so many people that are willing to go like Porsche and Lamborghini and Ferrari, all of which to me are more unstable platforms.
well,
So it's a bit weird.
it's interesting though because I did a 3-car test at Misano a few weeks ago, and it was actually the new Merc, the Lambo, and the Audi. And the Audi, I think 3 out of 5 laps, I ended up backwards into a wall. And then I found the AMG felt almost just as crazy as the Audi did. There's that that really fast double right towards the end of the lap.
Mhm, mhm.
And the Lambo is insanely stable. I don't know why, but the Lambo doesn't drive like a rear engine car to me, or a
I
mid engine
find the
car.
Lambo to be almost the most unstable vehicle. Like,
Hmm.
to be honest, like, because I've done. Um, I don't want to toot my own horn here, because I'm sure a number of other drivers can say the exact same thing here. But like, to me, it's weird because I did extensive testing. Mike Stopmill can back me up on this one, because I was informing him of my testing results, because he had a bet that I would pick the Nissan because I would like it the best. And he was not wrong. I did like that Nissan. but I was basing it on the criteria of speed. Do I like it? Do I like the liveries? Even do I can I keep it stable, and so on. And to be honest, the Lamborghini was this persistent one that did stay in my mix because it was fast. It and the Porsche had speed. I'm not going to deny that. But they were easily, session after session of testing. Like, I'd do a 10-lap stint in the car, then get into the other car, do a 10-lap stint, that kind of thing. Like, they would constantly be at the top of my OC rating, which is oh crap rating, which is I ended up backwards, or I had a crap your pants moment or whatever. And it wasn't to do with like the line. Obviously, if like, for example, if I was doing a testing run at let's say I'm trying to think of like a really good example here. Let's say I'm going through Monza and going through the first chicane. Like there's a level of you broke too late, you hit the curbs, and it doesn't matter what car you're in, you're spinning out. I didn't count that as an oh crap moment. That's driver error. That's all there is to it. And obviously, an oh crap moment is going to be driver error to a certain degree. But there was an oh crap moment to me is if I was in another car, I could have saved this. And the Porsche and the Lamborghini were constantly the two worst in that regard. Absolutely constantly.
That is just so wild. Because I'm actually racing the Lambo 3 hours in Imola, and I'm finding it super stable. Must just be differences in braking. I
No,
probably brake a little too late on
it's
both
got to
the
be.
Audi.
It's got to be. Well, it's differences in driver appeal and whatever. So I mean, there's going to be differences in the thing. And I mean, to be clear here, I find the Audi one of the best mid-engine cars to drive. I am clearly alone on that. I freely admit that my perception of the Audi does not match what anyone else has.
But if it works for you, it's all that
But
matters, right?
that is all that matters. And I just want people to give it a chance because it just seems weird that it doesn't matter if it's Race Room or Assetto Corsa Competizione or the original AC. We have had this non-Audi bias. I'm not saying it's a conscious thing that like we hate the brand or anything, but we don't pick it. And it's not the performance of the car, because if you look at Race Room or Assetto Corsa Competizione, the Audi is towards the top of the BOP charts in both games. So it's not the car is bad. It's just we stay away from it for some reason.
The Audi can definitely be fast. It's just for me, it has a tendency to bite quicker than I'm able to handle. So the one thing I've learned
Could
over
also
these seasons is that I'd rather be a few tenths slower but stay on track.
I definitely hold the same thought on the matter, but we also had the disagreement with the Hungaroring thing where I ran a much more aggressive setup than you did, and didn't have a problem.
Your setup, I couldn't get one clean lap in.
I mean, I did run your setup with some modifications to my setup. I don't know why you had the brake ducts up at 6. I don't fully understand that. The brakes were very cold.
Yeah. I was trying to get the rears ice cold because the rear tires kept overheating on me. So I was trying to
I didn't have that problem.
Well, what I ended up doing was I actually went back to my qualifying setup, which was much less stable, and I just ended up just cranking the traction control up from 3 to 5, which is I never run at 5, but I had no choice.
I would say that and no one quote me on this because I could be totally wrong, but I don't think bringing the brake ducts up is a good idea. I don't think using the brake ducts to cool your tires is a good idea. The reason is that, okay, Rochelle could probably explain this better because she's got that, electromechanical degree that she's working on. But the problem with overheating tires when you're driving around the track tends to be surface temperature, the surface bubbles, the surface grains, etc. And that's where that overheat is coming from. The brake ducts are towards the inside, of course, and will help core temperature of the tire so they can warm it up if it's too cold. But lowering the core temperature doesn't really necessarily help a really hot surface temperature. That is my understanding. Someone can correct me in the comments.
I don't disagree with any of that. My decision on that was that they were constantly heating up on me. And in my mind, the hope was that if there's zero heat, they would cool back down quicker on the straights. I'm not saying it was a logical move, but
it's certainly logical.
Desperation, because Javi and I were running about an hour of practice, and you can ask him. I was out of my mind. I could not do 3 laps without spinning out during practice. I was out of my mind and out of ideas. I did not know what to do. And then eventually just had to suck it up and crank the traction control up, which just felt so wrong. I did end up
cracking the traction control up. So you are correct there.
It just felt
now
terrible.
to be clear, I'm trash talking a guy who went 8 tenths faster than me in qualifying. And let's see here, what was the race differential here?
It doesn't
You
matter. Trash
you
talk is what we're all
finished
about.
you finished in second. I finished in sixth. Your best lap was 0.8 faster. Your average pace was 1.2 seconds faster. So take anything I'm saying with a grain of salt. All I can say is that I was pretty happy with the car and had legitimately one of my best results because I mean, number one, sixth place, my best result of the season. So there is that. But I also want to say that my gap to first place was probably the best it's been all season, and my deviation was 0.38%. So solid. I want to
Yeah.
say that's something probably in the top five. Yep, fifth best deviation. You had the best deviation, so you're probably still right.
Yeah, I probably am.
But I don't know. I found I didn't have the same problem. So either I'm used to a more wild car than you, just because of maybe some differences in setup philosophies. Your car was more stable. I freely admit that.
It was
Um,
too stable. Like I said, the setup that I sent to you, I threw in the trash before the race, so I didn't even use
well, gee,
that one.
thank you.
Well, you said you weren't using it. It was no big
I,
deal.
I I used it with modifications.
Oh, I should have given you my good one then. I didn't realize that.
I ran a lower TC than you ran. I had completely different brake ducts. I had some changes in terms of the arrow. I brought I ran an 11 wing. You had a 10 wing in your setup. Um, I changed some of the mechanical grip stuff. I can't remember like specifically what it was, but I actually have a whole little notepad of changes because
I
I
would
always
say
always track your changes, everybody.
for the future, if I ever send a setup over at 1:30 in the morning and say, "Screw this track," it's probably not a setup you wanna put all of your, trust into.
Well, I tested it out in a head-to-head against my setup and found that yours was about 3/10 a lap quicker and a little bit more stable. So it was it was the right call. But I managed to get about another 3/10 by
Nice. Yeah, it's certainly that's
combining the two.
I made that setup to be, very, very stable because I was trying to, keep the rear under control, but once I saw the pace, up front, I had to ditch it and take my chances.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You were one of five drivers to get into the 45s during the race. The other ones being Chris Johnston. Oh, probably six actually. I should. Yep, there. Oh, seven actually. Jake Keckley got into there. That's nice.
Nice.
Don't know what happened to him. He was on my tail and then he just vanished and finished 21st. So I don't. 2 laps down. So I imagine there was a pit stop of some kind
Yeah.
involved there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy
Um,
to get, I wonder if you got a
you
drive-through.
know,
It's so easy to get off tracks at
I
that track.
should. I should. There is a pit delta measurement here somewhere. So let's have a look. Could we? Where is it? I can't find it. Yeah, I can't find it. I know there is something. There is somewhere in here that gives you a pit delta. It's kind of there it is. Race progress. There it is. Yeah, you had a pit delta of 3 minutes 19 seconds point
That's not a
5.
drive-through.
So that is the largest pit delta anyone had, and that includes Trevor Cheney, who had a stop go and a drive through penalty. So,
Yeah, that
um,
sounds like a
I
concrete
think
wall.
I think it's safe to assume that there was some damage to the car.
It's not surprising there. I was amazed that I ended up with not a single off track last night. That was probably the one thing that I was amazed with last night. It's just trying to keep a pace with and staying on track there. I found it so challenging.
Let's see. Did I beat you on any laps? Well, this will be the last thing I'm going to bring up about this particular, because you can do lap times of
I don't
yourself versus
think
another driver.
so, only because
You beat me 22-0.
yeah.
Ow!
Well,
Ouch!
the pace up front was it was blinding. Dumas was running qualifying laps right from the get-go, and, Chris was, not far behind him, so there was no time to slow down, unfortunately.
How did I do against? Okay, I was almost 50-50 with Garda. That's nice. Although they're all towards the end. Like I said, I looked at this before, and he's faster than me on every one of the first 10 laps, except one. And then after that, he was only faster than me once. So
Nice. See,
I
that's
think he may have
actually
threshed the tires.
so that's if you want to talk about things for next season, the one comment I made is that I think we should shorten qualifying to 20 minutes and extend the race to 50 minutes because
I could definitely see that. I don't think 50 minutes would give us a tremendously different
I
result,
think it
though.
would
Might be.
because the tires see if you're running qualifying pace around the 30-35 minute mark, your tires are usually pretty worn. So at 40 minutes, you're just able to push it out. I think that extra 10 minutes would make a huge difference in race finishes to the people who aren't quite as gentle on their tire wear.
I
I think
mean,
it would add a
I'm
very
not known to be
interesting result.
gentle on my tires.
Well, I've learned it's good. You gotta be fast but controlled.
Let's finish off with we I think we legally have to talk about this. I know you're not much of a real life motorsport fan. That does confuse me, but I accept it.
I used to race
Um,
motorcycles and follow motorcycle racing, but once I get out of something, I'm usually out.
but we do, I think, have to talk about F1 for like a half second here because there are two massive stories and then a couple of like slightly more minor ones. First up, did you watch the Bahrain Grand Prix?
I did not.
You seen the Romain Grosjean crash videos?
I have seen the titles in my YouTube come up, and I have never clicked on one. I guess I should.
It's a hell of a thing. I'll give you the picture I gave to Byron. Of course, I have to Google search here, so there's gonna be a moment here. So
Is he
um,
okay?
he for the record, he is okay. I want to make that. I mean, he's injured to the point where he's not going to race next week, but
Stays alive and
it's not life
cognizant.
threatening. It's not serious. But that is what is left of the front of his car.
That's a car?
That's a car. That's the front half of a Haas F1 car.
Wow.
Um,
That's insane.
so to be clear, this was a massive accident. He hit the Armco barrier. There was an explosion of flame, which I still don't know necessarily what the cause of was. There was a lot of speculation on that, and I've not gotten anything that seems like an official word. If you have that, please provide that in the comments below. But yeah, the car got split in half. You'll note that there's a significant lack of a back end in that picture I sent you. And somehow he crawled out of that on his own while on fire. But
That's amazing safety design, huh?
he's got burns on his hands, and I've heard his feet. But he did tweet out a picture of him in the hospital with his hands bandaged. But it says, "I am fine."
That's just phenomenal.
So he's going to miss the next race. And also missing the next race is going to be Lewis Hamilton, of course, the great, now 7-time world champion, one of the most polarizing figures in motorsport, of course, because you have the group of people who believe him to be the greatest driver of all time, and you have the group of people who believe every title he's ever won is the is the car and nothing to do with the driver, which is very confusing because he developed the car that won 6 of those titles. So
That's interesting. It's very much the Valentino Rossi of motorcycle racing when I was following that.
I think motorcycle racing admittedly never gets the "it's just the bike" thing, mostly because the
Oh,
bikes
Rossi did,
tend to
especially in
be
2002 when they switched to MotoGP. The
yeah
Honda
the
was dominant. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
there was, but like I remember his first title coming in like the previous season Suzuki had been a Grand Prix winner and Yamaha, and it wasn't to the level that F1 sometimes gets to. Because I mean, even ignoring Hamilton for a second, there's of course the early '90s when it's like, so McLaren's winning the title, and it doesn't really matter who's driving for them.
Yeah, it takes some of the fun out of it, doesn't it?
And then Williams in the mid 90s, outside of 94 and 95, where it's like, we were talking about this the other night. It was me and Chris Johnson talking about how the Damon Hill 1996 world title is like, it feels like it was a grand moment because it was the first time a father-son combo had won a title, because Graham Hill, Damon's father, had won 2 world titles in the 60s, and then in the 90s Damon won. So there was like that first like family title feel to it. But we both had more or less the same thought of the matter. Is like, the lead driver from Williams was winning the title, and it didn't really matter who it was. And people have the same thing with Hamilton, which, I mean, here's the thing. Mercedes has Lewis Hamilton under contract. They have a driver academy. One of their drivers they had to let go because they couldn't find a seat for him. That was Esteban Ocon, who now races for Renault and is a Renault driver. They lost Ocon from their young driver program because they couldn't find a spot for him. If Mercedes, who up close and personal has Hamilton to look at, did not believe that they could win championships easily if they slid Ocon into the car instead of Hamilton, why does any fan believe that the driver is irrelevant? I guess is what it comes down to. The team is telling you the driver is relevant. Because they pay him a ton.
Yeah, but you know how it is nowadays. Facts don't really matter. We just believe what we want to believe, and that's the end of the discussion.
For sure. I mean, that's the whole F1 pay driver controversy of like, you guys realize we came up with pay drivers for people who literally bought their super license because they didn't have the results to get a super license, right? And there is no one on the current grid that actually there is going to be one person at the next Bahrain race that is going to be, because Romain Grosjean, needless to say, is not racing for Haas, and Pietro Fittipaldi will be. And people have been talking about, is Mick Schumacher worthy of a ride? Is he getting the easy ride because of his dad's name? Man, that's a bad timing because you got Pietro Fittipaldi joining the grid, and he is, how do I diplomatically phrase the word crap?
I don't know.
He's not good. He's not good. He's not. He had his crowning achievement is a World Series by Renault or Formula 3.5 title, when that series was really bad. And that's about it. So we got him on the grid, and then of course George Russell's going to be at Mercedes. So there's a lot of speculation how he'll do in the Lewis Hamilton car. A lot of people joking, if he wins the race, can we admit that it's all the car? No, because George Russell is supposed to be a very, very skilled driver. So it's not like we're putting, it's not like Alessio Deletta is getting put in the car and being asked to run. Like, that's, for those unaware, Alessio Deletta is possibly the worst driver in F3, in the sense that he's only there because he has money. He finishes basically dead last every race. He's never beaten his teammate. And also he's had his racing license and road license revoked because he filmed himself cutting in and out of traffic at over 200 kilometers an hour.
That's pretty awesome.
Dumbass. Anyways, so Paul doesn't really have opinions on the real motorsport, but I figured we had to bring it up to at least have the conversation in the comments, because it's a hell of a week for F1 news, I guess.
Yeah, I will go and watch the video and then leave a comment on the crash.
What, the crash, and not Alessio Deletta racing through traffic at over 200 kilometers an hour?
I actually would love to see that video too, to be honest with you.
It's on YouTube somewhere. He put it there.
I'll search it.
So that is all with Paul Riccobene, 2-time 3D speed champion now. If you want anything else in ESR, or is that it?
No, just a 2 3D. Oh no, I won a Friday night Setta Corsa mini series.
There you go. He's also minis champion, so 3-time ESR champion, which is more than I can say. And thank you for taking the time to talk with us here.
Oh, thanks for having me. And thank you for putting together the Wednesday night. It's a very enjoyable series.
Not a problem. I enjoy it, even if it seems like I'm not enjoying it at times. That's just the admin curse.
I know it.
And of course, there is the open spot for you on the on Team Audi Revolution here.
I appreciate it. I will do some testing and let you know.
All right, so Paul Riccobene, 3-time ESR champion, was our guest today. And if you would like to be a guest on the ESR Racing Podcast, there's not really much in the way of a criteria to meet. You just have to be an ESR racer and preferably have some things to say, I guess. I like to prize that I can get anyone to talk.
I was going to say, I had nothing to say, and we've been on here for a while.
I mean, yeah, Paul said he had like 10 minutes of material, and we might stretch this out over an hour. So, you know, I can work miracles. Yeah, that's really the only requirement. You are a member of the ESR community, you race with us, or you're someone like Byron who has no interest in racing, but enriches the community anyways.
Yeah, Byron is all ESR.
So that's all for this episode of Racers Corner. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time, roughly, probably less than 2 weeks, because we're doing this one a bit late. I wanted to get this one in after the 3D Speed series finished up, as opposed to my usual Tuesday time. And that's why this one's a little bit late. And I'll give the usual rundown of what's coming up in ESR for you guys to check out. Let me get the communities tab up here. I'm a little bit lost with the new race app, but it will become
lots of changes.
It will become second nature soon enough. So of course, December 3rd, December 5th, we got the ESR GT2 Classic Champ Redux. We're doing a doubleheader at the Red Bull Ring. And then, as we talked about before, the Korean International Circuit also on that day in rFactor 2 with the GT3s. We have the ESR Sunday in Chill DTM series on December the 6th. And then coming up, we also have the GT2 Champ Redux doubleheader at Nürburgring with the GT2s. And the ESR Academy kicks off again on December 13th at Zolder. Let's see if there's any new faces in the Academy before we log off. There's only 3 people signed up so far. So no new faces yet.
That should pick up, though. It's always a good series.
It certainly will. I got to go convince Rochelle that she's going to drive like something, because I know she doesn't like any of the cars that have been presented. But peer pressure is going to work.
It always does.